is Nietzsche was woke. He exposed power structures, criticized blind obedience, and rejected traditional morality, ideas that sound a lot like modern social justice. But at the same time, he despised victim mentality, rejected equality as a goal, and believed in power, not fairness. So was Nietzsche ahead of his time, or would he have completely rejected today's woke ideology? Let's break it down. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe for more deep dive philosophy videos. Your support helps keep this content going. 1. Nietzsche's critique of morality and power. Nietzsche's philosophy is rooted in a sharp critique of traditional morality. He argued that societal norms, especially those propagated by religion, were tools of control, mechanisms that kept people from realizing their full potential. His famous statement, "God is dead," reflects his rejection of religious-based moral systems, which he believed repressed human instincts and creativity. In particular, Nietzsche criticized Christian morality, which he saw as promoting slave morality, values like meekness, humility, and obedience that were adopted by the oppressed to justify their weakness. These values, Nietzsche claimed, were designed to pacify the strong, keeping them from reaching their full potential by encouraging passivity and resignation. In Nietzsche's view, traditional morality replaced individual greatness with a conformity that suppressed personal strength. He emphasized the need for individuals to break free from these imposed moral codes and create their own values, values that are authentic and reflective of personal power, not societal expectations. This process of self-overcoming is key to his idea of the Übermensch, the ideal individual who transcends the herd mentality and shapes their own destiny. Nietzsche saw moral systems as tools of power, ways for the ruling class to control the masses. He believed that those in power use morality to maintain their dominance, shaping what is considered right and wrong to suppress the natural drive for self-assertion and creativity. Instead of living authentically, society imposes a moral framework that keeps individuals in check, telling them to conform and submit for the sake of order. Nietzsche argued that these moral codes are often more about controlling power than about truth or justice. His core philosophy revolves around the idea that life should be embraced in its fullest form, including its hardships and contradictions. The will to power is a central concept, the drive to assert oneself, grow, and create new possibilities. Nietzsche didn't see this power as domination over others, but as mastery over oneself, an ability to define one's own life and values, free from the constraints of society's moral rules. Nietzsche's critique is a call for radical individualism. He believed that individuals should challenge all moral systems and power structures that limit personal freedom and creativity. By doing so, they could create lives that are truly their own, not shaped by external pressures or conventional morality. This is a powerful reminder to question the systems that define what is right and wrong, and instead forge a path based on one's own strength and values. 2. Nietzsche's critique of victimhood and the herd. Nietzsche had a profound disdain for victimhood and the herd mentality. He believed that victim mentality, a mindset that focuses on suffering and powerlessness, often becomes a source of moral authority, giving those who are oppressed a perceived moral high ground. This stands in contrast to Nietzsche's view that individuals should rise above their circumstances rather than define themselves by their victimhood. To Nietzsche, self-overcoming was the key to growth, not surrendering to feelings of victimhood. He argued that slave morality was built upon resentment from the weak, who turned their suffering into a moral system. Instead of empowering themselves, they resented the strong and created a morality that justified their weakness and dependence. Nietzsche saw this as a dangerous path, where the oppressed are trapped in a cycle of resentment rather than striving to transcend their conditions. Furthermore, Nietzsche critiqued mass movements, whether political or moral, as expressions of the herd mentality, where individuals abandon their own identity and critical thinking to conform to the group. He warned that these movements, though they may claim to fight for justice, often end up replacing one dogma with another. This is where Nietzsche's philosophy stands in stark contrast to the modern woke movement. While wokeness seeks to correct injustices and empower the marginalized, Nietzsche would argue that it runs the risk of becoming a new form of conformity, a collective moral framework that demands obedience and suppresses individuality. Nietzsche's critique calls us to examine how modern movements, in their pursuit of justice, can sometimes unintentionally foster a new moral hierarchy, one that, much like traditional morality, pressures individuals to conform to a collective moral standard. His solution isn't collective activism, but rather individual empowerment. He encourages people to reject the victim narrative, focus on personal growth, and strive to create their own values. For Nietzsche, true empowerment lies not in being defined by what you've suffered, but in transcending it and becoming the master of your own destiny. 3. Was Nietzsche woke then? After examining Nietzsche's philosophy and its relationship to modern social justice movements, the question remains, was Nietzsche woke? The short answer is no. Nietzsche wasn't woke in the sense we understand it today. His philosophy revolves around individualism, self-overcoming, and the rejection of herd mentality, all of which sharply contrast with the collective ideals found in many contemporary social justice movements. At the core of Nietzsche's thinking is the belief in personal responsibility and the creation of one's own values. Nietzsche believed that true growth comes not from fitting into societal molds or following groupthink, but from an individual's ability to transcend limitations, define their own path, and assert their will to power. He wasn't interested in collective activism or societal reform. He saw the individual as the ultimate agent of change. Nietzsche's ideal person, the Übermensch, is someone who rises above conventional morality and societal expectations, creating their own values and living authentically, irrespective of group dynamics. In contrast, the woke movement emphasizes solidarity, collective action, and the dismantling of systemic oppression. It focuses on challenging power structures and achieving social justice by raising awareness about the experiences of marginalized groups. While Nietzsche did critique power structures, his focus was on how those systems suppress the individual's power, not on reforming those systems to promote equality or collective rights. Furthermore, Nietzsche had a disdain for the victimhood narrative that often underpins modern social justice discourse. He believed that individuals should overcome suffering and adversity rather than using victimhood as a source of moral authority. In this sense, Nietzsche would likely view the woke obsession with victimhood and systemic oppression as a form of weakness, something that reinforces dependence rather than empowerment. That said, Nietzsche's critique of power structures is not irrelevant to the social justice conversation. His insights into how morality and societal norms can be manipulated to maintain control still offer valuable lessons. While Nietzsche may not have supported the woke agenda as it stands today, his emphasis on questioning authority and challenging power resonates with many of the same goals that the social justice movement seeks to achieve. Nietzsche's philosophy encourages critical thinking and the rejection of blind obedience, which can inspire individuals to rethink the status quo, much like modern activists challenge entrenched systems of power. Nietzsche was not woke in the traditional sense, but his philosophy can still be relevant in discussions about social justice. His focus on individual empowerment, self-mastery, and the rejection of conformity offers a unique perspective on how to challenge oppressive systems. His critiques remain an important part of the broader conversation about freedom, power, and the role of the individual in society. To wrap up, Nietzsche wasn't woke in the modern sense. His philosophy emphasized individualism, self-overcoming, and personal empowerment over collective action or social movements. While he critiqued power structures, he didn't advocate for reforming them for equality, but for transcending them through personal strength and authenticity. Nietzsche would likely view wokeness as another form of conformity rather than liberation. However, his ideas about questioning authority, rejecting blind obedience, and creating one's own values still offer powerful insights for today's social justice movements. So what do you think? Was Nietzsche a precursor to modern activism, or is his philosophy fundamentally at odds with it? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into philosophy.